Hey guys, Tim from Great Lakes Fly, and today I'm going to talk about the Brocraft Mini Manual Downrigger. It's a transom mount, or it's a clamp mount, so that's right here, adjustable. Um, Got this a few weeks ago. I've been using it actually a lot. I didn't want to do a review until I used it a good amount of times to get an idea of how to operate it, how well it works, how well fish are caught on it, and it's actually been just an excellent piece of equipment. The boat I use, obviously, I use a dinghy. I don't really have any hard options to attach except for my transom. So this was naturally a perfect choice. The video will go on to show how to attach it, how to operate it. I've actually caught a lot of fish on this. The first fish I pulled out of the water was a 13-pound steelhead. Caught a lot of king salmon. Caught a couple coho, so it's just been awesome, and it's actually a very easy piece of equipment to use. I did get with it, so I bought this on Amazon. When I purchased it, it gives you an option to buy downrigger balls. So the max weight that this can use is a 5-pound ball. So I just got this 4-pound ball for $11. It's the Extreme Max in black. And then I got this release, which it comes with a release, but I like this one. And it's the Scotty Mini Power Grip Plus line release, and that was also on Amazon, and that was only $7.79, so it was pretty cheap. One thing I kind of want to talk about is a lot of people ask, is there a line counter? Is there a drag system? There aren't either one of those, but there's super easy things you can do. So the line counter, what I did, two things that I do. One, I just tape 2 pieces of tape on, one here and one here. When I pass this, that's 1 foot. And those just kind of help me. But I also use my line counter, my fishing reel. I let out 35, 40 feet, zero out the line counter, and then lower it. And that's actually been pretty accurate. And that's how I've actually been operating this to figure out how deep I've gotten. As far as the drag system, there's an unofficial one. As long as you don't tighten this all the way down until it can't be tightened anymore, if you hit the bottom, it will start to unravel. Because I did that the other day. We're coming in at night, and we had a fish on, so I'd already popped my downrigger rod, got it out of the water. We had a fish on before I rolled the ball up on another rod, so I forgot that this was in the water. So I had about 70 feet of wire out, and as we came in, this ball was just bouncing. You could see the balls kind of all messed up. It was bouncing on the bottom until it hit a big piece of metal and got stuck, and I wouldn't have known it except for the fact that this thing started to unravel. I thought something was wrong with my engine because of the metally kind of metallic noise it made, but it was in fact the downrigger, the spool going backwards. So it was as if I was letting it out, and I didn't get spooled, but eventually I heard it. We stopped the boat, and it was actually wedged inside this giant piece of metal. It wasn't giant. It was probably like 3 feet across and half a foot wide, but it wedged itself in there. So this does have a drag system if you just don't tighten it all the way down until it can't be tightened anymore. It will unravel if it gets caught on something. So it's an unofficial drag system, but nonetheless it worked just like a drag system. So the next thing I want to show you is how you set this up on your boat, and then I'll go on to show you how I actually set it up on the boat, and hopefully this will give you a good idea if this is something you can use. These could be used on kayaks, dinghies, lunds, any kind of boat where you've got just kind of a transom or just like, somewhere where you couldn't do a typical mount where you would screw it into the some part of the boat. So I really, really like it. The boom is only 16, or I think it's about 16 inches long. So it's not super long, but I've had no issues with it coming even near my propeller. When this thing's going, unless I were to reverse, there's no way it'll get in there because there's enough drag on this that when the thing pops, it still stays way behind the motor, so it's fine. I tighten this. This is how you put the arm in. I tighten this almost every trip. It's even loose now because if this falls out, you're going to lose this, but this arm won't stay on. So just make sure you give this a tighten every now and then just to make sure it stays solid. Setting this up, there's a lot of videos and stuff out there to set up these little crimp, I forget what these are called, but I tied a knot and then I crimped it down just to give it that extra bit of something. It actually, the knot, you can't really see it, but the knot used to be up higher, so it has slid a little bit, probably when the ball got stuck. So just some things to think about. But once again, I really like this downrigger, you know, this rotates and swivels. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the video, and I hope it gives you all the information you need if you're thinking about buying something like this. Alright, I'm going to show the installation of this. Super easy. Put on the transom. You know, have it opened up enough. This is going to sound obvious, but the first time I brought it out, when I mounted it, it was actually sitting up kind of high. So I screwed it tight like this, and when you try to reel it in, the thing starts rocking back and forth. It's extremely unstable, so make sure it's completely flush and flat with the back of the transom or wherever you're mounting this. When I put it on, I align this thing. I don't let it touch. I give myself like 10 millimeters of space right there. Just kind of so when I'm cranking this, I've got enough room between my motor and you know, just the handle. In the video you'll see it looks like the handle's touching the motor. That's because when I mounted it, I actually mounted the motor accidentally not quite centered. It was a little too far to the left here. So make sure when you mount your motor that it's mounted in a way that wherever this is, you know, basically, I shouldn't even say motor, whatever you're going to put next to this, make sure you can operate this properly before you're out in the water, because it's just going to make things more complicated. So I'm just going to tighten this thing down, make sure that's at about the 10 millimeters. And I get it as tight as I can. That's sitting nice and flush. And that's really all there is to mounting it. You might think the reel's in the way, but I have it angled, and the rod angles even more, so this doesn't interfere at all. What's the name of this? This is called Tight Lock, TITE-LOK. I got it at Bass Pro. They're a little bit expensive, but they're extremely solid. When you're fishing for kings, big fish, you really don't want to be using plastic hardware, because there's a lot of guys that come out here, you know, when you're fishing walleye, smaller fish, not as big of a deal, but a lot of guys have lost rods because of the plastic hardware. So this has been, you know, I'm pretty sure it's an aluminum, but it's light, but they're about 45 bucks. So they're not the cheapest, but so you'll see this in the later video with the rod actually operating in this, when I'm showing how to actually set this thing up. The first fish I got on this was a really big, it was about a 13-pound steelhead. I had no issues pulling the rod out of the rod holder. Once the rod and the fish were all set up, reeling this back in's extremely easy. So so far the Brocraft transom mount downrigger is excellent. You know, I haven't had, this is extremely short boom. I believe it's only about 16 inches. Haven't had any issues with it coming near my prop. I was a little worried about that, but the prop actually is sitting about here. So I mean, you'd have to reverse to get it up in there. And with a 4-pound to 5-pound ball, it's always going to be sitting back behind it a lot more. So yeah, that's how you put the downrigger on your boat. All right, so this is how I let out the Brocraft downrigger. I'm gonna let my line out. Got my line counter 0. I'm gonna let it out 40 feet. I know some guys do 30, 35. I like to do 40. No particular reason. That's just what I've been doing. Haven't been losing any fish, so gonna keep doing what works. So I'm at 40. Gonna put the rod back in the boat. Gonna take the little clip, squeeze it on there. Just got it on the line. So I'm gonna re-zero this, my reel, my line counter. About 2 feet, re-zero, put it into the rod holder. So as you can see, I got the tape. I can either count the tape, or I can watch how much line's let out in the line counter. They're really not that far off, as far as being just maybe 5 feet off or something. So the line counter gives me a more accurate depth to find if I catch a fish in it. And I've been doing this long enough now that I kind of let the line out really fast. So I've popped this, I've popped the reel. The line can flow freely if I take my thumb off. I'm gonna unscrew this all the way till it's nice and loose. And I've been doing this enough now that I just let it go. I just go real fast. Watch the line counter, 15 feet, 25 feet. 45 feet.
And I'm gonna stop at 85 feet of line out. Now that's not 85 feet to the bottom, or it's not straight down, because of the fact that I'm only using a 4-pound weight. So you can see the line's going back quite a ways. So hopefully I'm hoping that I'm in about 40 feet of water. That's the foul I want to be in. So that's what I've been catching fish in for the past couple days. So that's why I'm lowering it down. That's why I use this. So I also have these marks here to help me if I want to just count how many rotations I do, because obviously, as I said before, 1 rotation is 1 foot, and that is accurate. So yeah, that's how I let the Brocraft transom out downrigger. That's how I let it out, and yeah, so far it's been catching me a lot of fish, so I really like it. Got this one on the Brocraft downrigger. Oh yeah, nice steelhead. Oh, making a run at the boat. All right, that's what I'm talking about on the Brocraft. Put her down before she falls in.